Hello guys, welcome. Welcome to technical interview question series. We are discussing technical interview question number 3. So the interviewer can ask you, can you explain the use of static keyword in C++ or DSA? So what exactly the application, you can say application of static keyword you find in C++ data structure that you are supposed to explain here. So primarily, we use static keyword to create a local variable in a function that the life of that can persist between different calls. A scenario wherein a function should retain the old value of a variable. That is what the variable's value or the variable's life must persist between different calls. Even when the control exits the block, function block, the variable should not be destroyed. And when the control re-enters the same function, again it should not be created. The old version of the variable should be used. So for such scenarios, we use static local variable. That I'll demonstrate with the help of example when I run the program. Then another application is as a data member in a class. You know, whenever we define a class, normally let's say I have a class employee. So then I have some instance variables like int employee number, float, salary. Then I may have some information wherein I have, which is a common, say the company is a common, company name is a common. So this company, because all employees are working in the same company, so the company will not change with every employee. What will change with every employee? Employee number will change with every employee. Salary will change with every employee. That's why these are called instance variables. Whereas company will not change. The same company it is. It's a common for all employees. So such data, we declare it as a static, which is a common for the entire class. That's why such data we access with the help of class name, not instance. Now, if you want an employee number, you need to have an object in your hand, employee E1. So this is the object. Now you will say E1 EMP number. Because you are accessing with object, it's an instance variable. Whereas if you want to access company name, because company is not specific to an object, it is common for the entire class, it will be accessed with the help of class name. In C++, we use scope resolution operator. In Java, we use dot. So this is how, wherever such scenario is there, I will give another scenario where such static data is required. So to process, to access, to handle the static data, we need static methods. Non-static method cannot do so, because non-static methods, again, they describe instance specific behavior. They describe instance specific. For instance, if I ask you show sal is a method. Now let's say show sal is a method or a function. Now this is an instance method because it is showing salary of a particular employee, so it will be accessed with the help of an object. It cannot be accessed with the help of class. Whereas display company name or show company, if I define this method, show company will going to access the static data, and we cannot invoke this with an instance, because it is a data, it is handling data which is common to all objects. So in this case, what you are supposed to do, you have to make use of class name to invoke this show company as well. So this way, static member functions, static data members we find in C++. So in a nutshell, I'll tell you. See, if you want to tell the interviewer, you can tell these three as like this. what should be your answer to the interviewer? You can say, sir, wherever in a function, in a scenario where a function should retain the value of a variable between different function calls, there we can make use of a static variable. And whenever we talk about object oriented programming, in that context, when we define a class, in that one we find instance variables which describe or which specify object specific data. And if I want to enlist, or if I want to describe any data which is common for all the objects, then that also I can do with the help of static data member. And to access and to process the static data, we use static member functions. As they are common to the class, they cannot be accessed with object names, they must be accessed with class names. That's why we have to make use of static member function. So this is how you can make it clear. So for your clarity, I'll show you the differences like this. Just to add, you can see here the key differences at a glance. Static method, direct instance access, it is not there. Instance access, instance variable, you cannot access instance related information with static method, because it is the static instance method that will give you instance data, object specific. So instance method we also call it as non-static method or non-static member function. Since it is static is common for all objects, it is not object specific. We don't have this keyword with this one. We don't have in C++, we don't have this pointer. In Java also we don't have this reference. Whereas for instance method, since we have instance, since this refers to the instance object, it is available. Then direct static access, in static method you can access directly, and in instance method also you can have an access to the direct access is possible periodically. Let's make it clear with the help of programs as well. So this is a one example wherein as a local variable we can use. The static int count is a local variable. So even when the control exits the block, the value will remain same. Say here for I0 I less than, I am calling 10 times. So here the count will not be every time initialized to 0. It will use the old value. The old value will be retained. That's what we call it, the value passes between different calls. Let us run and see here. See, function called 10 times. This is a one example of this one local static member and static data. You can see here, this is a one example of website. Class website is there. I would like to know how many visitors are there. I want to count. Whenever the website is hit, there will be an increment. So this is how it is, static. And to access this static data, I have used static member function. Display the total visitors like this. This is a static member function. See here, I have created objects, user1, user2, user3, and this will give you the value. So how many times you have created here the objects? User1, user2, user3. Whenever you create an object, the constructor gets called and the constructor increments the static variable. So that's what, when you have some non-static method with you, you can access the non-static method can access static data. Now constructor is actually a non-static, it is accessing the static data. Thing is, what is the problem? If you have a static method, this method cannot access, this static method cannot access non-static data. If I have another data here related to visitor name that is specific to a visitor. So in that case, I cannot access without object. I must either pass an object to it or create an object locally here. then it is possible. So the bottom line here is the static method cannot directly access instance variables or non-static data, whereas the static method can access both. Static directly it can access, non-static also it can access directly. So this is how the concept is there. I hope the point is clear. If you like the session, please like it and share with your friends. Thank you for watching.